Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. A very serious involvement here. Secretary Foreign Affairs, Mr. Yakon, Director General, Mrs. G. Dean Pamela, very senior diplomats. I'm overawed with their brains. Participants of this course, such a versatile crowd which is sitting here. I'm so happy to see that. And as I heard somebody saying, you will be the opinion makers, and what you will learn is an initiation into a new area. And you must be the opinion makers, so for that you have to continue to learn. So it is in that quest that I will also apprise you of some things, maybe you can carry something for good use for yourselves. While giving an outline of the Pakistan's foreign policy, I thought it will be important to just apprise you with the broad history of Pakistan so that you can then relate things, because foreign policy of all the countries are all goodness, but what you see in the manifestation is so much more. And the manifestation is what is heard through the media and not known actually in the corridors of power where decisions are taken. So therefore I'll just apprise you with a broad history and then give you the outline of our foreign policy. Participants, since inception, Pakistan faced numerous challenges, either in the face of war with neighbor, war in neighboring countries, water issues, refugee issues, drugs, gun culture, and it all resulted in weaponization of our society, as you people broadly know, and we hear it over and over again about Pakistan through the media. All our wars were fought with India over Kashmir, a country which negated our very inception. Afghanistan, since 1979, which was our neighbor, has suffered from crippling wars, whose effect have also negatively impacted its neighboring countries, especially us in Pakistan. Keeping in view the regional and global challenges, Pakistan has always remained focused on self-sufficiency, progress in agriculture, commerce, trade, defense, especially defense production, industry, to deal with future challenges. And the greatest strength of Pakistan and its resilience lies in the presence of our agriculture. That's a great blessing that Pakistan has, and we are an agriculturally self-sufficient country. In August 47, the British Imperial government divided the British Raj into two independent and sovereign countries, Pakistan and India. Subsequent to independence, Pakistan was involved in continuous territorial disputes with India over Kashmir and Bengal. The sources of these conflicts is the unrealistic division of Punjab, Bengal, Kashmir by the colonial British powers, which escalated into leading to the numerous armed conflicts between the two countries. But the inconclusive wars resulted in a hitherto issue of the unresolved Kashmir dispute. I'll just add here, if we had known the amount of catastrophe that unresolved issue would bring to us, I think our leaders in 47 and early 50 would have resolved it. But it continues to remain unresolved, despite the fact that it is negated that it is not an issue. The fact is it is an issue because our waters generate from that place. It will continue, therefore. First, India and Pakistan went to war in 1965. The 17-day war caused thousands of casualties on both sides and witnessed the largest engagement of armored vehicles and tank battles since World War II. This war saw the large amassing of troops in Kashmir since the partition of British India in 1947. War between the two countries ended after a United Nations mandated ceasefire that was declared following diplomatic intervention by the Soviet Union and the United States, and the subsequent issuance of the Tashkent Declaration. This was in 1965, and Soviet Union played a very active part in attempting to resolve the issue. It is imperative to highlight that internationally the war was viewed in the context of the Greater Cold War and resulted in a significant geopolitical shift in the subcontinent. Before the war, the United States and the United Kingdom had been major material allies of both India and Pakistan. as their primary suppliers of military hardware and foreign aid and developmental aid. However, during and after the conflict, both India and Pakistan felt betrayed in their own sense by the perceived lack of support by the Western powers for their respective positions. Both felt betrayed, therefore, due to the imposition of an American and British embargo on military aid to the opposing sides. As a consequence, India and Pakistan openly developed closer relationships with Soviet Union and China, respectively. Thereafter, the Indo-Pak War, we went into the Second War in 1971. That was a major military confrontation between India and Pakistan that occurred during the Indian-backed insurgency in East Pakistan by generating a Bengali nationalist forces movement. Like 65, again, India and Pakistan militaries simultaneously clashed on the eastern and western fronts, eventually ending up in dismemberment of Pakistan and creation of another Muslim nation, Bangladesh. The perceived negative stance of the Western powers during the conflict and during 71 has continued to affect relations between the West and the subcontinent. In spite of improved relations with the US and Britain since the end of the Cold War, the conflict generated a deep distress of both countries within the subcontinent, which to an extent lingers to this day. After this major event, Pakistan moves into another major upheaval in the region. This was with the occupation of Afghanistan by the former Soviet Union. The Soviet-Afghanistan war was fought between Afghanistan and the Taliban Mujahideen after the Soviet forces entered Afghanistan in 1979. The United States supported the Afghan Taliban and Mujahideen in order to try and overthrow the communist government and to prevent the spread of communism. This war continued over 9 years from December 79 to February 1989. As per the National Security Archives of USA, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, played a significant role in asserting US influence in Afghanistan by funding military operations designed to negate the erstwhile USSR. The conflict approximately resulted in 2 million civilians killed and millions of Afghans fled the country as refugees to Pakistan. To date, Pakistan houses 3 million Afghans, and this is since 1979. They are still with us. Such a horde of Afghans who came to Pakistan as refugees are the ones from within them the Mujahideens were recruited by CIA. The Afghan refugees who have stayed in Pakistan have caused extra burden on the economy of the country as they provide cheap labor, causing unemployment to our local workers. Dear participants, these are realities. You are saying I am only touching the war and major events, but this is what we have gone through. And you have to react. You can't give up. And in the process that we are resisting, we get the worst media because we are resisting the powers which are today in the world. But this is what we are going through. Point to underscore is that from these refugees who sought shelter in Pakistan, rose a force funded by CIA and trained by US to fight the USSR, as accepted by Secretary of State Mrs. Hillary Clinton at numerous occasions. These people are known collectively as Mujahideen, and afterward they form into what is now known as the Taliban. The US provided the resistance with guns and anti-craft missiles, which now they face. Even if it seemed like a good idea at that time, even the United States feels its effects today. And once the United States left after the first Afghan war, we were having millions of well-trained people armed to the teeth, and Pakistan didn't know what to do. And that's the reality which continues, and the children continue, because Afghanistan, a culture of war has been developed, and the economy is now sustained on war. Then comes the second Afghan war, 2001-2014. After the Soviet war, Afghanistan again experienced another war in 2001. The United States invaded Afghanistan to hunt down Al-Qaeda. Supported initially by United Kingdom, the US was later joined by the rest of the NATO to resist them. Beginning in 2003, its public aims were to dismantle Al-Qaeda and to deny it a safe base of operations in Afghanistan by removing the Taliban from power. This phase of the war is the longest war in the history of the United States, 2001 to 2014. And for your information, when a war is going on your borders and a superpower is fighting it, you have no other way but to participate or get crushed. This is the second war in which USA has come in, and the first war was between USA and USSR, and we endured both. NATO became involved in ISAF, International Security Assistance Forces, in 2003, and later that year assumed leadership of it. With troops from 43 countries, and by this stage, NATO members provided the core of the force. One portion of the US forces in Afghanistan operated under NATO command, the rest remained under direct US command. As of 2015, over 4,000 ISAF soldiers, civilian contractors, 15,000 Afghan National Security Forces members, and nearly 20,000 civilians had been killed. The United States had announced that combat operations would end in 2014. However, until today, over 13,000 soldiers under US command live in Afghanistan, live and operate in Afghanistan. Similar to the Soviet-Afghan war, the US-NATO intervention has resulted in establishment of beating ground for terrorism. The terrorism germinated in Afghanistan has reached out USA, Europe, and has spilled over into our society as well, tearing away the very fabric of our society in Pakistan. A fact which John Nicholson, the present commander of US and International Force in Afghanistan, stated when he gave a statement in a briefing to the US Senate Armed Forces Committee in the second week of February 2017 on the current situation of Afghanistan. General Nicholson agreed with the statement of the committee members that Afghanistan-Pakistan region has a fertile ground for terrorism. He further stated that the conditions in this region also lend themselves to the growth of these terrorist organizations. General Nicholson, while underscoring that of the 98 US designated terrorist groups across the globe, 20 operated in Afghanistan, and its proximity, out of which 3 are violent extremist organizations. According to the general officer, this is the highest concentration of terrorist groups anywhere in the world. General Nicholson also told the committee that war in Afghanistan has come to a stalemate. However, he would need additional resources and a few thousand more troops to continue his mission. So, this is the broad story on which I will now put the diplomatic icing of our foreign policy and see where it is and where it is headed. The Prime Minister's vision for Pakistan is based upon that of our founding father, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who said, "Friendliness and goodwill towards all nations of the world will be the keystone of our foreign policy." Pakistan's foreign policy is focused on promoting its national interests in the global community. It seeks to safeguard its security and territorial integrity, building peaceful relations with all countries, especially neighbors, pursue the path of economic prosperity through focus on trade, transport and energy, connectivity with China and Central and West Asia. The foreign policy objectives of the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif can be summarized as following. The bullet points are that first, promotion of Pakistan as a dynamic, progressive, moderate and democratic Islamic country. I know there will be many questions on this first point that I said. Developing friendly relations with all countries of the world, especially major powers and immediate neighbors. Safeguarding national security and geostrategic interests, including Kashmir. Consolidating our commercial and economic cooperation with international community. Safeguarding the interests of Pakistan diaspora abroad. Ensuring optimal utilization of national resources for regional and international cooperation. Why I am saying Kashmir again and again, and why I have talked about war again and again, let me re-emphasize, all our rivers emanate from Kashmir. There are 5 rivers which flow north-south. Indus being one of the longest rivers of the world, they all emanate from Kashmir. It's our lifeline. It's not a rhetoric on which Pakistan is stuck. It's our lifeline. We have 112 diplomatic consular representations abroad. Our missions have been promoting the objectives of regional and global peace and security in spite of challenges posed by forces of extremism in and around our neighborhood. Diplomatic Corps is committed in promoting economic diplomacy. New regions and emerging economies are being focused, making it possible for Pakistan's export and remittances inflows to continue growing. Our ambassadors are laying high emphasis on the issue facing our expat community abroad. Pakistan is earnestly implementing the above-mentioned objectives of its foreign policy by promoting regional connectivity, facilitating reconciliation in Afghanistan, seeking to resume composite dialogue with India so that all outstanding issues, including the core issue of Kashmir, could be resolved. And by the way, it's not to say something between India and Pakistan. India has now begun to refuse that Kashmir is an issue, a blatant path that they have taken which will not lead to any progress on this subject. Improvement in the security, and if it is not an issue, today Kashmir is up on uprising that you may not know. Over 73 children have been killed. And as of today, when I am talking to you, there are at least 1,200 people who have lost their eyesight because of pellet guns being used to subdue the crowds which are there. And nothing is known to you because there is an electronic blackout. It's like Yemen. And Yemen is also going through a blackout. Ladies and gentlemen, or the children, whatever I say, second line and beyond, these are realities. This is very hard. And when you get all this information through media, it's not correct. And for those who are pursuing these studies, for you it's very important to get to know the real forces which are at play and not the stories which are given or known to the world through media. And what Mr. Trump says, he is not far too wrong when he says it's not correct news, fake news. It is very fake news because the news is always representing somebody. It's not on the merit of the world. I'm talking real politics actually, and not talking politics too. Improvement in the security situation coupled with favorable economic policies has led to visible signs of economic revival and higher investment. Additionally, the democratic process and institutions of Pakistan are becoming stronger, supported by an independent judiciary, strong parliament, free media, and a vibrant civil society. Pakistan stands ready for receiving FDIs and ensuring healthy profits on the investments. Pakistan's ground realities are rapidly changing for the better with decisive and comprehensive action to combat violence, terrorism and extremism in Pakistan. We salute our armed forces for their heroic effort, particularly Zarbiya's. It's internationally recognized that the biggest effort against the terrorists taken by Pakistan Army. We already lost about 20,000 of our soldiers and officers, law enforcement people in this valiant effort against the terrorists. A few words on the economic diplomacy. In the context of economic diplomacy, promotion of Pakistan's trade with the foreign countries and seeking business investment in bilateral and multilateral mechanisms. This is the cardinal feature of Pakistan's policy and the primary mandate of the Foreign Office and its outposts, that is Pakistan missions abroad. Since its assumption of office, the government set 4 targets and quantifiable but achievable tasks for Pakistan's diplomatic missions to promote economic and commercial relations. In order to implement this objective, Pakistan's missions abroad work with due emphasis to promote our exports to the regional and national level. The missions also remain actively engaged in promoting business-to-business contacts. Our efforts have culminated into achieving substantial results. Pakistan economy is showing progress. It's touching 5 now. And we look forward to the massive Chinese investment of about $51 billion coming, which has already started pouring, and the road from China to Pakistan is halfway complete already. The missions regularly and frequently organize visits of our trade delegations to foreign countries and their delegates to Pakistan, vice versa. In this regard, arranging trade fairs of Pakistani products in their host countries is a part of each mission's responsibility. They also endeavor to bring in contact partners from foreign countries, apart from introducing and branding Pakistani products. In order to enhance the confidence of prospective traders, our missions, in coordination with the trade dispute resolution organizations, are actively engaged in facilitating settlement of any trade dispute. The foreign policies are guided by the realpolitik, and now the real forces which are going to hit our countries in South Asia are not the historical forces. There are much more dangerous forces emerging which will force us to come together. And that I am leaving a point with you at the end of the talk, having talked about our foreign policy. The global forces are the warming of the earth, drought, drugs. And if we don't address these forces, they will hit us so hard that we will not know how to react. And by the way, this is not for a nation to fight against this. We have to get together. The future of all countries, particularly of our region, lies in coherence, integrity of operations against what is coming, and in consultation with each other. Pakistan pursues these directions. And we hope greater sanity prevails subcontinent, and all of us work together for the betterment of the people of this region. I thank you.